Did you know that Shopify Payments is actually just Stripe? That's right. When you're using Shopify Payments, you're not using some proprietary Shopify technology. You're using Stripe, rebranded, repackaged, and marked up. And here's what most Shopify store owners don't realize. You don't have to use it. You can connect your own payment processor to Shopify, skip those extra transaction fees Shopify charges, and actually have more control over your money. But Shopify doesn't exactly advertise that, do they? In this video, I'm breaking down everything you need to know about Shopify Payments versus Stripe versus setting up your own merchant account. We're talking real numbers, real risks, and by the end, you'll know exactly which option makes sense for your store and how much money you might be leaving on the table. Let's get into it. So let's start with the big reveal that Shopify doesn't put on their homepage. Shopify Payments is powered by Stripe. It's not a separate payment processor. It's not Shopify's own banking technology. It's literally Stripe's infrastructure with a Shopify logo slapped on top. Now, why does this matter? When you sign up for Shopify and enable Shopify Payments, you're essentially opening a Stripe account, but you don't get direct access to it. You don't get Stripe's dashboard. You don't get Stripe's full feature set. And most importantly, you don't get to negotiate your rates. You get whatever Shopify decides to charge you. And here's where it gets interesting. Shopify's rates for Shopify Payments look something like this. Basic Shopify, 2.9% plus 30 cents online, 2.7% in person. Shopify Standard, 2.6% plus 30 cents online, 2.5% in person. Advanced Shopify, 2.4% plus 30 cents online, 2.4% in person. Sound familiar? Those are basically Stripe's standard rates, maybe slightly adjusted based on your Shopify plan level. But here's the kicker. If you decide not to use Shopify Payments, if you want to use your own processor, Shopify charges you an additional transaction fee on top of whatever your processor charges. Basic Shopify, 2% additional fee. Shopify Standard, 1% additional fee. Advanced Shopify, 0.5% additional fee. This is Shopify's way of pushing you toward their in-house solution. They're essentially penalizing you for choosing a different processor. But, and this is important, there's a way around this. And I'll show you exactly how in a few minutes. Now, before we talk about alternatives, we need to talk about risk, because this is the part that could cost you your entire business. Remember what I said earlier? Shopify Payments is Stripe under the hood. And if you've been in the e-commerce space for any amount of time, you've probably heard horror stories about Stripe freezing accounts. Here's how it works. Stripe, and by extension Shopify Payments, is what's called a payment aggregator. They're not giving you your own merchant account with your own merchant ID number. They're letting you process payments through their master account as a sub-merchant. This means they can freeze your funds, they can hold your payouts, or they can shut down your account entirely, often with little to no warning. And it happens all the time. Just Google Shopify Payments account frozen or Stripe held my funds, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Thousands of store owners sharing their nightmares. We're talking funds held for 90 days, 120 days, sometimes 6 months or longer. Why does this happen? A few common triggers. Number one, sudden volume spikes. Your store goes viral, sales jump, and their algorithm flags it as suspicious. Number two, higher than average chargebacks. Even a small percentage can trigger a review. Number three, selling products in gray areas, supplements, CBD, certain electronics, anything they consider high risk. Number four, inconsistent business activity, seasonal businesses or irregular sales patterns. The problem is you're at the mercy of their algorithm. There's no relationship. There's no account manager you can call. You submit a ticket and wait. And while you're waiting, your money is frozen, your business is bleeding, your customers are wondering why their orders aren't shipping. I've seen this destroy businesses. And the worst part is, most store owners don't even know this risk exists until it happens to them. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, what if I just use Stripe directly instead of Shopify Payments? Fair question. Let's break it down. If you use Stripe directly, not through Shopify Payments, but as your own connected gateway, you get a few advantages. 1. Direct access to your Stripe dashboard, full visibility into your transactions, disputes, and payouts. 2. Stripe's full feature set, radar for fraud protection, better reporting, subscription tools. 3. Direct communication with Stripe. Still not great, but better than going through Shopify's support. The rates are essentially the same, 2.9% plus 30 cents for most online transactions. But here's the catch. Remember those additional transaction fees I mentioned? If you use Stripe directly instead of Shopify Payments, Shopify still charges you that extra 0.5% to 2% depending on your plan. So now you're paying Stripe's processing fees, plus Shopify's penalty fee for not using their system. On a $100 transaction with basic Shopify, that's $2.90 plus 30 cents to Stripe, plus $2 to Shopify. Total, $5.20 in fees. Compare that to using Shopify Payments on the same plan. $2.90 plus 30 cents to Shopify Payments, no additional fee. Total, $3.20 in fees. So using Stripe directly actually costs you more, unless here's where things get interesting. And this is what Shopify definitely doesn't want you to know. You can connect your own merchant account to Shopify, and when you do it the right way, you can eliminate those additional transaction fees entirely. Let me explain how this works. A true merchant account is different from Stripe or Shopify Payments. Instead of being a sub-merchant on someone else's account, you get your own dedicated merchant ID number with a processing bank. This means, 1, you have a direct relationship with the processor. They actually underwrite your account, understand your business, and have skin in the game. 2, your funds are more secure, much lower risk of random freezes because they've already vetted you. 3, you can negotiate your rates, especially as your volume grows. 4, you have an actual human to call. When issues come up, you have a real account manager. Now, here's the key to making this work with Shopify without paying those extra fees. Certain payment integrations work with Shopify in a way that's treated similarly to Shopify Payments, meaning no additional transaction fees or significantly reduced fees. With your own merchant account, you get the best of both worlds. Lower processing rates than Shopify Payments, often in the low 2% range or even lower for high volume. No additional Shopify transaction fees. Your own merchant ID with fund security, and a real relationship with your processor. Let me give you a real example. Say you're doing $50,000 a month in sales on Shopify. With Shopify Payments on the basic plan, 2.9% plus 30 cents average, that equals roughly $1,750 in monthly fees. With your own merchant account through an approved integration, let's say 2.1% plus 10 cents average, that equals roughly $1,150 in monthly fees. No additional Shopify fees. That's $600 per month in savings, $7,200 per year. And as your volume grows, that gap gets even wider. At $100,000 per month, we're talking $1,200 plus in monthly savings. At $500,000 per month, you're leaving over $70,000 a year on the table by staying with Shopify Payments. All right, let's bring this all together. Which option should you actually choose? Choose Shopify Payments if you're just starting out and doing less than $5,000 per month. You want the absolute simplest setup with zero configuration. You're selling completely mainstream products with no risk flags. And you're okay with the risk of potential holds or freezes. Shopify Payments is convenient. I won't deny that. For a brand new store testing the waters, it makes sense to start here. Just know the risks going in. Choose Stripe directly if, honestly, there's almost no scenario where this makes sense for Shopify stores. You're paying more in fees without significant benefits. The main exception is if you need specific Stripe features not available in Shopify Payments. Choose your own merchant account if you're doing consistent volume of $10,000 or more per month. You want lower processing rates and room to negotiate. You sell products that might be considered higher risk. You've experienced holds or freezes before. You want fund security and a real banking relationship. Or You're building a business for the long term, not just testing. For established stores, a true merchant account connected through an approved integration is almost always the smarter play. The setup takes a bit more effort. We're talking an actual application process, providing business documentation, maybe 24 to 48 hours to get approved. But the savings and security? Worth it. So there you have it, the truth about Shopify payments that most store owners never learn until it's too late. To recap, Shopify Payments is just rebranded Stripe. You're taking on aggregator risk with potential fund freezes. Shopify penalizes you for using other processors with extra fees. But you can use approved gateways with your own merchant account to avoid those fees. And you'll likely save money while getting better fund security. If you're serious about building a real e-commerce business, the payment processing decision matters more than most people realize. It's not just about the fees, it's about protecting your cash flow and having control over your money. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more store owners find this information. And if you want to see more videos breaking down the stuff that platforms don't want you to know, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment below and let me know, are you using Shopify Payments right now? Have you ever had your funds frozen? I read every comment and I'd love to hear your experience. I'll see you in the next one.